Hello, everyone. This is a mock interview. Today we have Saurav with us. And in this interview, we will try to do a mock with him, do a mock interview, and try to find out his experiences. And this interview, the purpose of this interview is to find out and to bring out the best in the candidate and to check his preparedness and prepare him for the interview. And in this process, we can all learn and prepare ourselves. So Saurabh has about 5 years of experience into manual testing, into manual QA, and we can now start the interview. Saurabh, are you ready?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am ready for it.
All right, great. So Saurabh, in this interview, I will try to, try to find out about your experience and all that you know about your knowledge, your creative thinking, your problem solving abilities. Try to, answer to the best of your abilities. If you have any doubts, you can let me know. Okay. Fine, Saurabh. So we can start. Tell me about your current job, your experiences, the skills you know, and anything that you are doing on your project.
Yeah. So for me, my current organization is Intentech Visions of Private Limited. It's in Jaipur. So in my project there, I am working on the HP workpath apps. My current organization, they are basically dealing with the printer application, collaboration with HP. More about the workpath application we are working on. So I am here working on the both on the product side and also the services side. So my current role and responsibility is to, as a QA, so we need to take with the requirement from the client side and also working with the developer, collaborate with the developer and checking with the application. So finding issues and reporting those and discussing with the developer according to the resolve issues and deliver the project to the client. So that's the my basic roles and responsibilities in this organization.
All right. So Saurabh, can you explain like step-by-step process, like when you start your testing, when you start your test project or your process of testing, what are the things you do, like a step-by-step process? Can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. So whenever I will start my working, so first of all, I will go through about the requirement. What is the requirement of the client? What is the expectation of the client? And after that, I will discussion with my manager and the business team, like what is the business aspect of the product, how it will be working on the market. So after that, I will go through the requirement and according to the requirement, I will prepare my test cases. And with the test cases, after the test cases, whenever I got the build from the developer side, so I will test on it. And if there is any issues over there, I'll report it on the, basically we are using Jira for that. So we'll post it on the Jira. And whenever we got the release build from the developer after resolving the issues, so I will again retest and perform the regression testing, all of those. And if there is no issues and it is ready to deliver to the client, then we will send it to the client. So that is the steps that I follow currently.
All right. uh, in this process, what are the tools you use, like the bug tracking tool or the project management, the test management? What are the tools you are using?
Yeah. So for the documentation purpose, we are using it's one of the Jira's extension, that is Confluence. Confluence we are working for the documentation part, and for the sprint planning and everything bug tracking we are using Jira. Those only we are using.
Okay. What exactly is a sprint in, and how do you manage that?
Sorry, can you repeat again?
I'm asking about a sprint. Like, do you have a sprint process, right, in your organization? So what do you understand by sprint, and what is the process in at your place?
Yeah, like the sprint means there is a certain time frame, and within this time frame there is a certain given task to us, and we need to uh, complete the task within the time frame. Like in my organization, we are follow the sprint of 7 days, like 1 week sprint we are following. So whenever we done this, like everyday scrum is there, and except the everyday scrum, there is one sprint planning meeting and one is the retrospective meeting that we are performing.
All right, Saurav. So you said that you have 7 days of 7 day sprint in your organization. So I hope that before the sprint starts, you have all your all your work, all the tasks already created. That in this particular sprint, in these 7 days, this is what we are going to do. What happens if you are not able to achieve all the tasks that are we have planned for the sprint? What happens after that? How do manage that?
Yeah. So if there is any certain task that given us to the sprint and we are not able to complete it, so for that, what we need to do, we need to first explain about it, that why it is not, we didn't achieve it in the sprint. So, and if it is that the reason is the perfect reason, then we will move it to the next sprint. Else, we need to complete it in the current sprint.
So, do you log something in your tool, in your project management tool, Jira, that we could not complete this, and how do you manage that? Do you do any kind of documentation on that?
Yeah, like suppose that if there is any task and we are not able to complete this task on the current sprint, so in the comment section we mention it, like why we are not able to make it complete it in the current sprint. That we are doing. Except this, we didn't follow any documentation for this, like this is the task why we didn't mention it. We just put the command on the store on the given issue ID. Yeah, that's all.
All right. You also mentioned that you do retrospective analysis, after every sprint. So, what exactly is that retrospective analysis, and what all you do in that phase?
Yeah. So before one day of the sprint planning meeting, we are doing the retrospective meeting. That in this sprint, whatever the task we have given, how it is progressing, how many tasks we are able to complete it, and how many tasks is there in the pending. So how much time it will take. So we need to do a proper planning for that, so that in our next sprint we can achieve that. The same thing will not follow again. So that's why if there is a major thing that we need to discuss and or something major that we are stuck on some point, so that thing we discussion over there, that yeah, this is the point that we need to check more. So that thing we are doing on the retrospective meeting.
Okay, so when does it actually happen? Does it happen before the sprint starts or after the sprint?
No, we did it at the last day of our sprint. Like generally our sprint is happening from Friday to next Friday, so we did it on the Thursday. On the Thursday we did it.
All right. Fine, sort of. So you have mentioned in your resume that you follow the Agile and Scrum methodology, right? So what exactly is the Agile and the Scrum methodology? What do you understand by it, and how do you implement it?
Yeah, like agile methodology means that in the process we can cut through the complexity and more focus on the product, so that we can if we get the changes, some changes between the in between the projects, so that we can make in the given timeline and we can more collaborate with the project and with the client. So that is the thing of agile methodology. And scrum methodology means that every day we are following the scrum for our given task, like what is the task we are performing yesterday, what is the task we are going to do today. So if there is a task yesterday I am not able to complete it, what is the challenges I face it, so that all of my team member can understand, so that we can get a discussion over there, so that we can know about it, like if there is anything challenge I am facing, if anybody have the knowledge on that, so that we can get a help from there. So that is the thing.
All right. So, Saurav, today we talk a lot about agile methodology and the agile way of working and the agile projects. Uh, what exactly was before agile, and did you know what we were using earlier, and then why did we switch to agile? What is the advantage of using agile methodology?
Like before Agile, we are following say like waterfall model and the iterative model, spiral model that we are following. But there is a disadvantage of all this model is there. If in between our process, if it in between our development, if we getting any change request from the client side, at that time it will be more costly, and that time it will be like give a big impact on our project. So that is why we follow the agile methodology, so that whenever we can get the changes request from the client side, or something we need to change over the project, so that it cannot hamper our work, so that we can simultaneously work with the change request also our project. So that is why we performing the agile methodology. Like here our requirement is not static, we can change our requirement at any phase of the development at any time. So that is the biggest benefit of the agile method.
Okay. So Saurabh, you have a total of 5 years of experience. Am I right? So during
Yeah.
all these experience, uh, can you think of a situation when you some very challenging situation when you have to face something very difficult, something very challenging in your project, in your testing process, and how did you handle? How did you overcome? Can you think of anything?
Yeah, like in my current project, like as we are working on the HP workpath application. So what is happening here, like there is the application named remark trace grading, that is the one of HP workpath application. So what is the challenges here I face in this project whenever I am working on that? Like this is our existing project in our organization, this is the existing project, and I have joined in between of that. So whoever the guy is working before, they are not currently associated with the organization. So I faced a very big challenge whenever I'm working in this project. Like the thing is that for me the requirement is not clear. Even whenever I am working on that, I'm getting some data on the application. Yeah, this data is coming, but I am not aware from where the data is coming. How can we get this? There is some user on this. Like remote test grading is one kind of exam pattern they are following. Like there is three, one admin, one student, and one teacher is there. So from there I faced a challenge that I don't have any resources for that, that from there I can get the access, that how this is working and everything. So whenever I am working on that, I faced a very big challenge. So for like overcome this situation, what I did, I go through the requirement, like remark test grading, what is this working. I go their website and studied about that everything. I studied the whole thing, like how they are working. So I get some videos from the YouTube, and there I check the videos that how they are working, what is their working process, and what are the API they are providing, and what are the work of this API. From this API, what data we are getting, how we are getting the data. That thing I checked everything, and I discussed with the developer and my manager, and then I started to working on it. Then I make a proper documentation of that, so that whenever a new person will come, they didn't face the same challenges. So I create the documentation over there, and I started to working on it. So that is the big challenge I faced.
All right. So you try to learn on your own using tutorials, YouTube, and whatever resources you could access. And you also took help from your teammates, from your team members. Wherever you could take help, and then you documented the process so that if somebody new comes in your team tomorrow, he or she should not face the same issues, right? All
Yes.
right. Great. Great.
Yeah.
So Saurabh, I see that you have worked a lot on web and mobile applications, right? So can you
Yeah.
tell me, yeah. So can you tell me a list of tools and skills you have used, like during your testing process in all your projects? If you have to create a list of all the tools and platforms that you have used, can you tell me that?
Yeah, like for the tool that for the project management tool that I have used mainly, that is the Trello and Jira. That the thing I mainly use. And for the bug tracking tool, I mainly use Jira, and I also have a little bit exposure on the Bugzilla and Mantis bug tracker. That is also I working. And I also little bit work with the API also. So for the API testing, I will use the Postman, and for performance testing, I have to use the Apache JMeter. So that is the basically all the tools I have used. And for in time of testing the mobile application, I always use the real devices. There I have not used any tool. And sometimes we use the for mobile application we use the Genemotion. That's only I used.
So Jenny Motion, you must have used for creating some emulators for mobile testing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, so Saurabh, you have used Jira a lot, right? And you have like nearly 5 years of experience. So in Jira, have you just used it for bug tracking and all these management and ticket management, all these things, or you have also gone a little ahead and created workflows and all other aspects of Jira? What all you have done until now in Jira?
No, I just use Jira for the bug tracking and the project management and the test case preparation and exporting the reports. So for this thing, I have mainly used Jira, not for any other purpose. Like that, as of you say, I didn't use the workflow and other thing on the Jira.
Okay. Fine. And for your mobile testing, you said that you have used real devices mostly, and then you have also used some emulators using Genymotion, right? Now, in mobile testing, one of the major things that we have to do is, and one of the major task is that we have to check that our application works on all the latest devices, all the latest operating systems. Okay. And today we see that every 2 3 months we get a new device, a new mobile device, and the operating system also gets updated. We have new updates. Every few months we have things changing. In this scenario, how do you manage, how do you make sure that your application works on all the latest devices and operating systems and all the latest updates?
Yeah, so for that, first of all, whenever we started to test on the mobile application, first of all, we need to check that the what is the platform version and what is the API version we are using in our application. So from that we can get security that yeah, this is the our platform version and this is our API version. So if we are taking that API version, so that upper of the version it will be work. And for the device thing we can use some, currently some tools are available, like from the web browser we can access the real devices and they can provide the lot of real devices. So we can also check over there. It will be might not possible to the organization that we have the each and every version of the all the devices, because in iOS it might be possible, but for Android it is very difficult, because there is a lot of companies for the mobile Android mobile application, Android mobile, and there is a very huge difference in the UI of the mobiles, and screen size is also matters. So for that case, it will be a difficult for the Android version. But for iOS, it might be possible to keep all the devices, because there is a limited version of devices. Yeah.
Okay. So, Saurabh, as you said that it is very difficult to test on all the latest devices. Every few months we have new devices and new operating systems. And then you said that you mostly test on real devices. So, have you checked for some cloud services where you can get all the new versions, all the latest operating systems, and you can test on the cloud without having to maintain your own infrastructure? Have you tried to check on that?
Yeah, I have checked it once. Forwarding the name, I think it's the Cobitron, something named like that. They are providing the real devices. I have only worked once for this, not many times.
Okay, yeah, Cobiton is there, and there are so many other options you can get. We have Browser Stack, Sauce Labs, and AWS also gives the device farm. Okay. All right. So as of now, you are saying that you are doing all on your, real devices and your own infrastructure. So how is it in your organization? Like, do you have a lab? Do you have a test lab where you have all these devices? How do you manage?
No, for my current organization, basically, I am not working with the mobile application. My current organization, they are basically work with the printer application, like HP Workpath and Lexmark and Konica Minolta. This is the three major thing. And basically, we are working with the printer. So we have the lab for the printers. And in my previous organization, I work with the real devices. Yeah, there is a lab. There is a mobile devices. They provide the real devices. So I am using over there.
Okay. So for your like in your earlier organization where you had a lab for all these devices, uh, do you proactively see that the application may be needed to be tested on a new device, a new operating system which is not already there? And if in that case, how do you go about it? Do you tell the concerned people that we need to get this new device, this new operating system to test this application, or do you try to look for yourself? How do you manage that?
Yeah, like for that, what I was doing, like first of all, I try to manage some different devices with some different versions, so that whenever there is a new version we launch, so that we can check whatever the devices we have, is it possible to update any of these devices to the latest version? If it is possible, then I will doing that. If it is not possible, that whatever the devices we have, it is not supporting the latest updated version, so for that I inform the management for that, that yeah, we need the devices for that, so they can take care of it. That's the thing I was doing.
Okay. And currently you are working with the printers and the printers application, right? Can you give me some use case of your user scenario for your printer testing?
Yeah, like for the printer thing, like there is a three basic thing for the printer. One is the copy, one is the print, and one is the scan. So first of all, we need to, whenever we test the application, so first of all, we need to clear about these three things, like copy, scan, and print. These three things must be worked properly. So this is the first use cases of a printer. And second thing, whatever the things they have, other things they have provided on the printer, like there is a send to email options and send job to the USB and all these things. That things we also need to check. And the another thing, this is also a major thing for a printer. That is the printer firmware version. Printer firmware. What is the printer firmware? How the printer firmware will upgrading, and what is the thing? What is the known issues? How we are getting issues for the printer firmware? So that is not the related to the application. That is related to the printer. So that is the thing. That is also a use cases that we need to follow. Like I am giving you one example for that. Like currently we are getting one issues from the client side, that they are getting a issue like whenever they are going to change the paper size from some lower size to some bigger size or some bigger size to some lower size, there is a one extra line is getting printed. So that is the issue we got. But whenever we tested it over in our lab, we didn't find that issue. So we tested it with the client lab, and we found that no, it's not the application issue, it is the firmware issue. So whenever we are working with the printer, we need to have a good knowledge about the firmware. So that is also one major use cases for the printer application. And some network scenarios are also there, that also we need to check.
Okay. uh, so for the printer use cases, do you also go like outside, like we have talked about software and the other firmware? uh, do you also check other things like the network supply and the power supply and all those things? Let's say somebody has given a print command, and the printing is in progress and it is in middle way, and something happens, like the power goes off, or the plug is has come out of the socket, and there is no backup in the printer for the printer. What happens in that case when the power comes back again? how does it respond? Does it proceeds from where it left, or we have to give a new command, something like this? Do you check this as well?
Yeah, that thing also we are checking, like how it is the, like if there is something error occurred, how it is recovering from that error. Yeah, that thing also we need to check. Like if there is some network scenarios or some power supply scenarios, that the other thing. And the other thing is like if there is a whenever suppose that I am working with the printer, and from the remote there is some other job is already come to the printer. So how it is working, that thing also. And the other thing is also like whenever we are we started a job and we back to the printer only screen, and from the only screen we are coming back to the printer, that thing. And the other thing is like how it is working with the administrative user, how it is working with the local user. That's also some other use cases over there.
Okay. Saurabh, so mostly in your working, do you work individually, or you have your individual task, or is it like you have your team and we have like few members in the team and they all coordinate with each other? How exactly is your working as of now?
For myself, it is the basically I have worked with the individual, because whatever the organization I have worked, there is a very smaller size of QA. Like if I can say in my first organization, I am the only one QA. In my second organization, we have only two QA. And in my third organization also, I am the only one QA. And currently in my project, we are the three members, but we have to work individually. Sometimes we are working with as a team, but mostly we need to work individually. That is mainly I have worked.
Okay. Uh, all right, Saurabh. Suppose you are working in your projects, and as you work with specific applications, with tools, and with all your applications and your workflows, you can get a lot of issues a lot of times, right? They can be tool issues, platform issues, there can be issues with the testing process, or a specific platform or some specific use case. uh, how do you handle it, and how do you encounter it, and what do you do so that these issues either do not come up again, or if the same issues come up, you should be ready, and the time and the effort required to solve these issues should keep on decreasing every time we get the same issues. How do you handle this? Have you thought about it? What do you already do, or what is your take on this?
Yeah, so for that, whenever we are getting any issues regarding our application or the devices or something, we need to log about this issue. Like we need to, if it is related to the application side, we need to update in our test cases, or we need to log it. Whatever the issue I am getting, I always try to log it, so that, and whatever the steps we follow to resolve this issue. So that thing I always try to log it, so that whenever if we get the same issues again, so that we did not uh, spend much time over there, because what we already have a resolution for that. So that thing I always do. Like I am giving you an example. Like in my organization, what is happening, whenever previously we are using the farmer version 5.2, so there is the latest version of the farmer, that is 5.3. so whenever we are upgrading the printer, what is happening, after a certain time the printer is getting restart, like it is not working. We need to restart, or we need to sideload the printer. So that is the thing, every time it is happening after a certain time, or but whenever we go through on the issues, that what is the exactly issues, how it is working. So we found that whenever we are using any card reader on the printer, at that time it is creating the issues. So I and we need to sideload the printer. So what I did, I need a create a proper documentation, like in which time we are getting this issue, if we are getting this issue, what we need to do, how we will do that. So that thing I will make a clear documentation over there, so that whenever if we get the same issues again at that time, we can follow the same thing whatever we have done previously, and we doesn't need to spend much time over there for the resolution of the issue. So that is the thing I was doing.
Okay. And how do you document? Are you documenting it within Jira or somewhere else?
So for the documentation, I am using the Confluence.
Okay,
It is one of the extension of Jira.
all right. Uh, okay, Saurabh, if you have to, write a new test case, a user scenario for testing, how you will write a good test case? What are the different components, and how you will write a complete and an efficient test case?
Yeah, so for that to write a complete and efficient test case, like we need to follow the sufficient data on our test cases so that except me, if there is some other team member, they need to run the test cases. So in that time, they doesn't face any issues. Like they can understand with the test cases properly. Like for that thing, we need to give the description very properly. We need to write down our description very properly and the precondition, test tape, and the test data. That the things we need to clear, like we need to clear it very precisely so that except me, if there is any other team member, they are trying to execute that test cases, they should not face any issue. They can understand very clearly. They can be very clear about the step, how they can be do, what they can be do, and about the expected result and actual result. They can understand it very clearly. So I think that is a good thing for writing a very precise test cases.
Okay. And Saurabh, as of now, you said that you are working mostly individually, right? Uh, in the past, have you worked with teams, or you have mostly been working as an individual contributor?
No, like there is a not any team of the testing side. Like in my current organization, we are working with a team, but the team is like a project team, not the team of the testers. Like test engineers, there is not any particular team, but we are working as a team, but it's the complete project team. Like all the developer, manager, and QA person is there.
Okay. Uh, in your resume, you have mentioned that you have experience and uh, you have experience of collaboration with cross-functional teams, right? So can you explain a little bit more on that? Like, what do you mean by cross-functional team, and what do you do in all this collaboration? How do you do the communication? What are the best practices you follow here?
Yeah, like for that, like whenever we are working, like there is a team of the backend side also, and there is a team of the front end side also. So as of a QA member, we need to communicate with both the backend team and also the front end team. Like whenever we are getting any issues, like it is not likely that we are getting issue and we reported it over the Jira. Like we need to go in depth of the issues, like why this issue is occurring, from where this issue is occurring, what is the root cause of that issue. Like we are getting this issue on the front end side, yeah, it's okay, but it might be that the issue is actually occurring from the back end side. There is something issue on the API or something related to that. So that for that thing we need to collaborate with the backend team and the front end team also. So whenever we got any issue, so that we can go through on the root of the issue and we can check exactly where is the issue is working. It is not like that only we found the issues and we reported it over the Jira. So that is the thing I was mainly doing.
Okay. Uh, so have you been involved mostly in functional testing, or have you also done other things on performance security? I know you mentioned JMeter. So what exactly you have done with JMeter in your testing?
So I have worked basically mainly with the functional testing also, because JMeter and Postman in API and performance side, I have also worked with that, but not a much thing. I worked with a very little over there. Mainly I worked with the functional team, and I didn't till now I didn't work with the security part. So that is the thing I only work.
Okay, so you have worked with JMeter. So in JMeter, what exactly did you do? What was the application, and what did you do in JMeter?
Yeah, in JMeter, I have mainly worked with the web application. In the mobile application, I didn't work with the JMeter yet. In JMeter, I basically work check with the load, that how much load it is taking, how it is working, like some continuous load or some like we put some load and after that we remove some user and again we put some load. So in that way, I mainly explore with the JMeter. not much thing I've explored with the JMeter.
Okay. Do you remember any samplers that you added in JMeter project when you were doing this?
No, right now I'm not remembering yet.
And you also have used Postman for API, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
So can you explain what exactly you did with Postman for your API testing?
Yeah, like for the Postman, whenever I use the Postman, I basically checking the two things, like what is the response we are getting and what is the response time we are getting. So how our response working. So that is the mainly thing I check with the Postman, not in much bigger thing.
Okay, and what was the API you were testing? Do you know anything about the API? What was its functionality?
Basically, we are using the REST API.
Okay, REST API is fine, but what API was actually doing? What was its functionality? So what was the request when you run the API? What do you get as a response? Do you remember that?
Like whenever I am doing the API testing, first of all, I ask the developer for a proper documentation of the API, like what is the API URL and what is the endpoint and what is the parameter we need to pass and what is the other thing body part and our tokens authorization whatever that we need to pass. So I ask the developer with a proper documentation. So whenever I got the documentation from the developer side, I follow that documentation and I check with some positive and negative scenarios and I report over there. So that is the only thing I've done.
Okay, fine. Saurabh, so I'm done from my side. Do you have any questions for me or anything you want to ask?
Yeah, Raghav, like I want to discuss some things with you.
Yeah, tell me. And all this is getting recorded as well, right? You know this, right? So you
So you
can.
can stop recording also.
All right. So before I stop recording, if there is something personal you want to discuss with me, we can do it later after I stop recording, because we have to complete the interview. I have to also give you the feedback so that it is helpful for all the people who are watching this. Okay. So if you do not have
Okay.
anything in the from the interview or anything that you want to discuss with me uh, professionally, officially, then I can give you the feedback, and then you can
Yeah,
ask me
you can
any
give me the
after this. Okay.
yeah. So
Uh,
you can give me the feedback.
all right. Okay. Fine. So, Saurav, overall, it was good. The interaction was very good, and you seem to be confident. Uh, I will start with your resume. Your resume is good, and I see it is a three-page resume, which is good and a decent amount of pages. So normally, I suggest, and normally it is suggested that keep your resume short. Max of 2 to 3 pages at max. Do not make it more than 3 pages. 2 pages is also enough, and especially today when everything is checked online, your resumes are read online. We do not have the paper format. It is good that you have short resumes, and you can provide links to your work if you have to, or if you can. For example, for people in technical domains who are doing coding and projects and other things, uh, they can create some projects, some personal and open projects, and push them in repositories like GitHub, and then provide the link in the resumes. So your resume is very good. It is short, it is 3 pages, and the way you have designed your resume is also very good. You have given all the highlights. A feedback here is, you have given all your projects, you have mentioned all your projects, or I suppose all your prominent projects here. What you can also mention is the skills and tools you have used for every project. Like, you have a project name, you have a team size, and then you have the project type. What was the project, like web mobile application testing, and then you have a project description. You can also add one more section, that is tools and skills, where you can mention all the tools and skills you have used in that project. So that will be very handy. Also, design your resume so that
Okay.
the first page of your resume gives the complete picture to the interviewer, so that they do not have to go into more details. And you can design it based on every job that you go for. And for example, you read the job description very carefully, what the job is and what they need, and out of that description, all the things that you have worked with and you know very well, put them in the on the first page and highlight it so that the interviewer knows that you are the right person for the job. Okay. And put all the right things that you have already worked with. Okay. That is on your resume. And about our interaction, there were some very good things that you know, were some very good sections. Like when I asked you about a challenging scenario, you told me about a scenario, and then you also told me that, you know, you took personal initiative to learn, to check all the resources, and then you also tried to take help from wherever you can, your team members. And then the best part was, after finding the solution, after learning, you also documented all your learning and solution, so that the next person or the new team member, whoever comes in, it is very handy for him, and he or she does not have to invest the same amount of time and efforts to find the solution. So that was very good. uh, about the agile methodology, you can read a little more on, you know, why do we use agile, what is the advantage, how did we come from the earlier waterfall, and why do we need agile. So it was fine, but you can read a little more on that, because you have, you know, highlighted in your resume that you are well versed with agile methodology. So whatever you highlight in your resume, or you mention in your resume, that you should be well versed with, because, you know, everything will be coming from your resume itself. uh, Apart from that, uh, the API question that I asked you, you know, you said that you have done API testing, you have used Postman. When I asked you what was the API, what was the functionality, you started giving me answer about, you know, how did you get the requirement from the developer, how did you get the URL from the developer. So here you missed that, you know, you missed the actual question. So here you have to keep a little bit, you have to note this, and, you know, keep yourself prepared that if you are saying that you have done API testing, you should know what was the API, what was the functionality, and you should know the steps. Okay. And listen the question carefully.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
got it.
that was one part. Uh, the cloud services, I asked you if you're using the real devices, and then I asked you that did you make an effort to see what are the options on cloud. You said about Cobiton, but there were some, you know, some very obvious cloud service providers like uh, Browser Stack, Source Labs, AWS. You did not know about them. So if you are into this field for 5 years, people will expect that you know all this. So, you know, you can check this a little more. After that, I asked you about yeah, I asked you about managing issues. Like, you know, if you have been getting so many issues, technical, non-technical, and other team issues, how do you manage, and how do you make sure that they do not repeat, or the next time they come, how do you minimize them? So you gave a very good reply, and it was very much similar to what I asked you. When you face a challenging situation, that you try yourself, you give your personal effort, try to find out from people, and then document so that it is easier for others. So that was good. About test case writing, so when I asked you what is how do you do a test case writing, what are the best practices, here you can try to explain a little bit more on the structure of the test case, right? So like, the test case should be complete, it should be atomic in nature, it should not be there should not be a lot of dependencies on other test cases. And then you should be having the requirement, you should have all the test cases mapped to the requirement, like this test case is mapped to which requirement, and you can you know, map it to the requirement document and all those things. There should be a expected result for every step and every test case. So all these are the structures and the components of a test case. You can read about this, because this can be very obvious question for, you know, manual testing 5 years. You should be knowing all these things. Yeah, apart from that, overall it was fine. I'll just say that keep your answers short and clear, and you can explain when it is asked to. And I think you have done a very good job here. You provided very, you know, clear and concise answers. You did not stretch it unnecessarily, so that is good. Uh, as a general suggestion, I will just say that keep your calm and be patient whenever you are asked a question. There may be situations in the interview when the interviewer starts asking you some particular question, you know that you already know the answer and you know about this, and you will be in a hurry to start answering. Do not do that. Wait for a couple of seconds, let the interviewer finish the question, wait for 2 or 3 seconds, and then start answering. So be very calm and do not hurry in answering. Okay. And apart from that, everything is fine. Be very honest in your interviews. If you do not know anything, you can very politely say that I do not know about this. And one of the best ways is you put in your resume whatever you know properly. Okay, do not put anything just for the sake of it. And when you are asked in the interview, you will not be able to answer. So that will be a little bit negative. And there will be situations in your interview sometimes that sometimes you are asked a question and you know that you know about this or you have worked up on this particular thing, but at that moment you may not be able to recall everything. So in that scenario also, you can very politely mention that I know about this, I have worked on this in some projects, but as of now I'm not able to recall that. So you can be very honest with that as well. Okay, so it's all right, if you're not able to recall something, that's completely okay. Okay, so Saurabh, that was my feedback. Anything you want to say?
No, nothing from my side.
All right, Saurabh. So I hope this was very useful for you, and it will be useful for everyone who is watching. So we will stop this interview here. And if you want me to take your mock interview, you can email me. I will put my email and all the details in the description below this video. And thank you very much for watching this. And I hope this was very useful to you. I will see you in the next mock interview. Thank you for watching.